Totally different now. He had to pull out the whole hard drive, put it into this thing, then it reads it into something else, then that reads into something else, that goes into something else, that puts it onto some kind of memory. I have no idea. So this guy goes, yeah, come back tomorrow about 3, 4, and we'll have it. No, absolutely unacceptable. I said, it has to be out. I said, dude, click and drag. He said, it's not like that.
Rip it out.
This is totally different now.
How much did it cost?
Expensive for them to do it.
Yeah, I think it was going to be a little bit pricey just because of the time,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like tremendous. It wasn't like ridiculous. I want to say it was probably going to be like $100, you know. So I didn't think it was bad, but I said, you know what? If you can pull this one job, put it on this thumb drive, man, that's all I need right now. The rest of it I can get later. So he was able to, you know, pull that one job, and it took like, you know, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. But he was able to put it on that thumb drive, and then I went home and worked on that. Are you talking about freak out? Yeah, so, you know, you always want to have some kind of backup or whatever, and know that, you know, it's gone forever. No, you know?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, they can always get it. They can always get it, so don't freak out completely.
When you say you should have backed it up, you mean like put it on a flash drive or something?
Yeah, or put it on my, you know, external hard drive and just said, you know, ooh, man, I don't know if this is the computer going out or not, but man, I'm just gonna back it up real quick and then back it up onto an external hard drive, or even on a flash drive, a little thumb drive.
How often do you back it up? Like every 30 minutes if you corrected a lot? Or
It all depends. I mean, if it's a really big job, I mean, I might back it up, but I mean, sometimes I won't back up for like a week or 2 weeks. And you should do it probably more frequent than that. Just because you just never know, you know? But I have that hard drive, so if I ever want to go back and somebody calls, hey man, I need that job from 2012 that I already did and I know I did, well, it's on that other computer, on that other hard drive. And I can always go back and get it or get them to back it up, but you know, I have that hard drive, so I at least know that. But hard drive space is now measured in gigabytes. A gigabyte is approximately 1 billion bytes. A byte is a set of bits that represents a single character on the computer memory. There are 8 bits in a byte. Hard drive space is also measured in megabytes, a million bytes of information. As computers advance in speed and capability, their storage capacity increases. The next generation of computers will store memory in terms of terabytes, 1 trillion bytes of information. And there's already stuff where you can store that have terabytes.
Gigabytes.
Yeah.
That's cool. You can give it like a tower, a whole separate.
Yeah, crazy. When purchasing a computer for court or real-time reporting, one should consider purchasing a unit with enough hard drive space for many large files. The speed at which a computer processes information is measured in megahertz. 1 megahertz is 1 million complete cycles per second and is used to measure transmission speeds. Some older computers have processing speeds of 200 megahertz or more, but modern computers now are speeds of 800 megahertz and greater. Some computers can process information at the speed of 1,000 megahertz, which is referred to as a gigahertz. The microprocessor is the heart of the computer. In PCs, most of the common microprocessors used is the Pentium generation of processors. Microprocessors perform many operations using instructions that are integrated into such a chip, but software programs can also tell the processor to do specific instructions. Other things to consider when purchasing a computer are the modem and modem speed, the type of browser to be used, and the ability of your computer to handle video, graphics, sound, and other multimedia peripherals and programs. Absolutely. Very important. Okay? The computer and real-time reporter shorthand writer is cabled to the computer via parallel ports located in the back of the pin configuration are 25 pin and 9 pin connectors. Both shorthand writers use a common cable to connect the writer serial bus and a computer standard, a parallel port technology is now being replaced by the USB interface. And we all know that. Y'all all know what the USB cords are. It's a little, back then we had the little keys that had, little interfaces, little pins in them. Now all you have is just a USB and it hooks in, and you can hook into anything. I have a little, one of those little beats, one of those pills, and it hooks into through a USB into the thing, and I can charge it through the computer. It's ridiculous, what you do now. And all it is everything hooks into a USB now. That's all it is now. So, more and more computer models are offering the capability of wireless connection with the peripheral hardware, including wireless shorthand machines. A shorthand machine may be connected to a computer by using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi technology. Bluetooth technology involves the use of wireless devices that will communicate with a computer at short distances, usually less than 30 feet. Some shorthand machines can be retrofitted to enable them to use Bluetooth technology, and more steno writers are being manufactured with Bluetooth wireless technology. With a shorthand reporter that has Bluetooth capability, the court reporter has the freedom to move their writer anywhere within 30 feet of range and does not have to worry about cables or cords being connected or causing dangerous walking conditions. Bless you. Guys, and it's crazy now. You can be within, so many feet. So they can be doing, real time in a trial that requires daily copy. And she can be writing Bluetooth, and it's going straight to the computer, and the person is sitting there editing as they're going. Crazy. Cool stuff. It's come a long way since the OJ trial. Where they did it and then they would have to go back, feed it into the computer, download it, the whole work now is just going straight to it.
And they're saying for real time, the Scopus, they'll send it in 10-minute, it'll automatically send them 10-minute segments, so they're 10
Yeah.
minutes behind the reporter.
Yeah,
And they do it that way.
yeah. It's nuts. It's cool. How far technology has come, it's pretty cool. So, Wi-Fi technology involves using wireless hardware devices at greater distances. A personal laptop computer may use Wi-Fi technology in order to communicate with a network for access to the internet. Reporters who do closed captioning or CART may use Wi-Fi technology in accessing and using the internet for communications. Every computer has an operating system, the OS, which is the software that actually communicates with the computer's hardware. Without an operating system, the computer would be worthless. The OS allocates memory, processes instructions, accesses disk, communicates with the drives, and allows the peripherals to function and acts as the user interface. Developers write program commands within operating systems to make computers operate as they are supposed to. Windows and all other different versions are examples of operating systems. For computer process commands, there are written within an operating system or program. The computer uses memory bank called read-only memory, the ROM. ROM is a storage chip containing programmed instructions that the computer uses when it boots up. In PCs, the instructions that are read by a computer are read from a small program called The BIOS, the basic input-output system. BIOS instructions are read before any other software programs are loaded into memory. ROM memory is permanent and cannot be changed. Once ROM is activated, all software programs and computer applications rely on random access memory, RAM. RAM is temporary storage place where a computer can read in common instructions and common programs that run on your computer. Rather than accessing the hard drive for specific program instructions, accessing RAM is much quicker. The more RAM that you have on your computer, the more data that can be loaded from the hard drive into the RAM, helping to speed up your work. And you want something with a lot of RAM too. You know, especially, I mean, your writer has RAM, your computer has RAM, all of this stuff, and all it is just kind of a backup memory for those things. Okay? Any questions about any of this so far? You in the back? You're golden. I know she's probably got a question, but you have a question, Slick?
No, just a bunch of computer terms.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and if you've never heard of it, I mean, and you've probably heard of these things, you just don't know, you didn't know what they were. So, here's just some of them.
You have to know for the written though, there's actually a computer
Oh, yeah.
section.
Yeah.
There's a computer, like they ask computer questions like what is RAM, what is ROM, what is.
Into detail or just like what it is, like, you know?
I haven't seen the questions yet, but I know that when it says on the list of things you're supposed to study for the written, it's like no, like no computer terms.
You wanna know how many gigs and all that?
We can find out, we can ask.
How many what?
Gigs and.
Do they just want the definition, or do they want what it stands for?
I'm sure they probably want to know possibly what it stands for. Like RAM, ROM, BIOS, USB,
So CPU.
yeah, CPU.
Okay, so now that I know that, can we summarize, ROM is what the computer comes with, so every time the computer reboots that, and then the RAM is what we put on it?
No, the RAM is what it has, but the RAM is the backup. So it's like the storage, like the memory.
When your backs up the ROM.
No. No.
When your computer gets slow, it's normally because your RAM is full and you need more RAM.
Yeah.
Because the more that you use your computer, the RAM stores the files as you use it. So every time you open a Word document, every time you do anything on your computer, it kind of has a memory of what you've done on your computer. And over time, you kind of fill up your RAM, and that's why your computer will get slower and slower and slower.
Clean that out, I don't want to.
You can clean some of it out, but some of it is just programmed into it.
So what happens when you run out of RAM, you need to buy new?
Sometimes you can insert, I know in my, I have a MacBook, and my MacBook is very old, and just so, as the operating systems get, like, the new operating systems require more and more space in order to store on my computer, so I had to purchase extra RAM, and they actually opened up my computer and inserted it into the laptop in order to keep it going.
You can buy RAM, but you can't buy ROM.
Environment, yeah. And you have to have the technician will open up your laptop
Yeah.
and they'll put it into your hard drive.
And they can do it. I've had it done on mine. You know, so instead of upgrading your computer, if you like your computer or whatever, it's like, just add more.
Just add more RAM to
Yeah.
it.
All right. Computer-aided transcription. The concept of computer-aided transcription, CAT, has been around since like the 1970s. It can be defined as the production of a transcript by using the technology of the computer. Like any technology, CAT has undergone many improvements and changes since its inception. Most court reporters use a computer in some aspects of their transcript production. Some rely heavily on the use of computers, while others use computers to perform basic operations in keyboard and printing. The most basic from a CAT is typing one's notes into a standard word processing software application utilizing the spell check features and other word processing commands, and then printing a final copy. In a very menial sense, the computer is used simply as an input, storage, and output device. Although this method of CAD is sufficient, it is time-consuming, and in the sense that someone has to read and translate the shorthand notes and input them into the computer by typing them on the keyboard. Guys, that's what we used to have to do. Ridiculous. But back then, that was the best thing ever. That was like y'all now. It's like, man, this is so much better. No. I mean, y'all are so much more advanced now, you know, with the stuff that y'all can do. Unbelievable. Which is, I mean, very good. But that's just telling you what it can do. It's an input system. So it's a glorified typewriter, I guess. You know, is what it's saying. The computer can be used to read and translate the shorthand notes when the notes are electronically recorded on a memory device. Some computerized shorthand machines have the ability to write regular shorthand notes on paper and record them on the memory device. Once a job is complete, the court reporter takes his or her device, inserts it into the computer, and the computer will automatically translate the notes for the reporter. That's what we have now. Okay? The translation process requires a specialized software program that contains a shorthand dictionary that will translate shorthand outlines into English words. If any of the shorthand outlines are not in the dictionary, or if the reporter makes an incorrect stroke in the writing of a word, the computer will not be able to translate the word. However, these untranslated words can be entered into a personal dictionary for correct translation to occur from that point on, which is exactly what y'all do now. You just build your dictionary. So regardless of whether you get your dictionary for someone else or whether you've been building your dictionary, which you should have been doing, you know, once you get out, then that translates into the English form. So as you build your dictionary, it gets bigger. I mean, your dictionary gets bigger, more things come up in English. But if you misstroke it just a little bit, it's not going to come out. But if you've taken the Eclipse class, it has an artificial intelligence, and it can almost guess as to what you were trying to stroke. So, I mean, you know, it's come that far with the artificial intelligence that it already knows, you know what, last time you wrote this, it was pretty close to this. You added one letter, but it'll give you 4 different examples of what you think it should have been. Once a transcript has been produced by the computer, someone must edit the screen output and translate any words that were not translated by the computer or make corrections to words that may have been mistranslated. Sometimes the original court reporter who took down the dictation edits his or her own jobs. Some reporting firms use a scopist to edit a reporter's work. A scopist is someone who is trained to read shorthand outlines and spot errors in punctuation or format. True. The CAD cycle. Most CAD software performs 5 basic functions that make up the CAD cycle: reading, translating, editing, saving, and printing. And that's true. Okay? You're going to read it in, which if you're doing real time, that's exactly what you're doing. You're reading it in. Translating is kind of the same thing. It's going through and putting into English what you're doing in real time. Okay? Editing is going back, and if you have misstrokes or whatever, or you wrote down a wrong word, then that's what that entails. Going through and editing punctuation, all of your speakers, whether it's question answer or whether it's colloquy, all of that stuff. Saving it is backing it up, and then printing it, just printing it. And it goes through and tells you, you know, the different things. I just told you that, what reading is. The first step in producing a transcript using the computer is to have the computer read the shorthand notes. We went through that, guys. I think we went through that No, we went through it in Eclipse, in the Eclipse class, where I brought the SD card, put it in there, showed you how to read your notes in. So if you're not doing real time, you get to the deposition and let's say your computer crashed. You can't do real time that day. No big deal. Your machine is writing to that SD card. No big deal. So then what you do, it has a slot in your computer. It should. If not, then you buy this little external little thing. And of course I don't. But anyway, it's a small little thing, probably about 4 inches long, on a little cord, and it has the different SD cards that you can fit into it, and then it has a USB port on the end of it. You put it into the USB, you put it in to the little slot, whichever one fits in, then you read it in. That's easy. That easy. So you either do it through the card or you do it through real time. That's what reading is. Translating is going through. So once a job is already read in, then you go to translate. Well, then it asks you, well, what do you want to translate? Well, I want to translate these notes. So you go to notes, pick the day of the notes that you want. Well, what do you want? Well, I want to do this, and I want to do it in my main dictionary, or I want to use, say I have an oil and gas dictionary, or I have a medical dictionary, or I have different dictionaries that I have that are specialized to these things because I have different strokes for these different specialized terms. I can read in that dictionary, and then you read it in, and then it all comes up into the English that you have. Editing is the same thing. Editing is now the job is in. So now you have to go through, put your speaker identifications, make sure that your punctuation is correct, make sure that your grammar is correct, and go through and listen to it with your WAV file. That's what editing is. Saving is just backing it up. So whether you have an external hard drive or whether, whatever. And on the software, on the Eclipse software, as you're going through and editing, it's backing up like every 5 seconds or something like that, 10 seconds, it backs it up into its own little memory. But, you don't want to count on that, okay? You always want to back it up onto like an external hard drive or some kind of thumb drive or something like that if you don't have an external hard drive. You can always back it up onto a thumb drive. And then printing is printing. That's it. Any questions about that stuff?